From the outside, the Demon Slayer Corps looks like the one thing standing between humans and total disaster. They fight at night. They die quietly. They get no funeral from the government because the government does not even know they exist. For almost 1,000 years, they show up in the dark, kill the things most people pretend are not real, and ask for nothing in return. That part is true, but it is not the whole picture. Because underneath all of that, the Corps is also an organization that made some very big mistakes. Mistakes that got innocent people killed. Mistakes that threw away their best chance of ending the whole war. Mistakes that let the worst demons in the world walk away safely when they had no business still being alive. Demon Slayer is usually told as a story of heroes winning against monsters. But if you slow down and look at the history of the Corps itself, you find a list of moments where humanity got hurt, not just by demons, but by the people who were supposed to be protecting them. Here are 7 of those moments, one after the other. The day they banished the only man who could have killed Muzan. Almost 500 years before the main story, a demon slayer named Yoriichi Tsugikuni cornered Muzan Kibutsuji in a bamboo forest and came closer to killing him than anyone ever would again. Yoriichi cut through Muzan so badly that Muzan could not heal. He was holding his own severed head onto his neck with one arm, and it would not reattach. In a last moment of total panic, Muzan exploded his body into 1,800 small pieces and tried to scatter. Yoriichi sliced 1,500 of those pieces in mid-air. Only 300 got away, small enough to regroup later into a lump the size of a human head. One more second, and the entire story of Demon Slayer never happens. Then Yoriichi walked home to the Corps and told them what had happened. Instead of being celebrated, he was blamed. They were angry that he had not finished Muzan. They were angry that he had let a demon named Tamayo escape. They were angry that his own twin brother, Michikatsu, had just become the demon Kokushibo around the same time. Some of the other Hashira demanded that Yoriichi kill himself as punishment. The only reason he did not was that the new leader of the Corps stepped in and changed the sentence to banishment. So they threw out the strongest demon slayer who had ever lived. The man who invented the breathing styles everyone else in the Corps still uses. They sent him away to live the rest of his life as an outcast, while Muzan slowly healed in hiding. That decision shaped the next 5 centuries of suffering, and the thing that happened right after it made it all even worse. The hunt that erased sun-breathing from the world. After Yoriichi was banished, the Corps went quiet on him. He kept hunting demons alone for the rest of his long life, but the organization pretended he did not exist. While the Corps looked the other way, Muzan was doing something they should have stopped. Muzan was terrified of sun-breathing. It was the one thing on Earth that had almost killed him. So he teamed up with Kokushibo, now his strongest demon, and the two of them spent years traveling across Japan, hunting down anyone who used sun-breathing or had even learned pieces of it. They killed the users. They killed the students. They killed the families. They got very close to wiping the whole style out of existence. The Corps, the group whose entire job is to stop demons from killing humans, did not stop this. They let Muzan quietly kill the only people on Earth who knew the one technique that could finish him. By the time the dust settled, almost nobody was left alive who could teach sun-breathing, and the Corps itself fell into a mess because nobody else could teach breathing styles the way Yoriichi had. The only reason sun-breathing did not die completely was a small accident. A charcoal seller named Sumiyoshi Kamado had been saved by Yoriichi years earlier, and had learned the forms by watching him perform once. Sumiyoshi passed them down through his family as a dance called Hinokami Kagura, not as a fighting style, so Muzan never tracked it down. That single thread of survival is the reason Tanjiro has any chance at all in the main story. And the luck of the Kamado family is exactly what gets pulled into the next failure too. The demon the Corps never caught until it was far too late. Muzan Kibutsuji is not new. He has been alive for over 1,000 years. He was walking around Japan in daylight, pretending to be a normal man with a normal family for longer than most countries have existed. And in all that time, the Demon Slayer Corps never caught him. Not once. After Yoriichi nearly killed him, Muzan hid for almost a century, waiting for Yoriichi to die of old age. After that, he went right back to living in public. He walked through Asakusa with a wife and a child on his arm. And the only reason Tanjiro even spotted him in the main story is because Tanjiro has an extremely strong sense of smell and happened to be in the right street at the right time. The Corps had hundreds of years. They had generations of Hashira. They had the Ubuyashiki leader whispering to them that the entire group was built around the single goal of killing this one man. And for all those centuries, They could not find him while he was hiding in plain sight in cities full of people. While the Corps failed to find him, Muzan kept making more demons. Every single demon in the series comes from him. Every innocent person killed by Akaza, Doma, Gyutaro, Daki, Rui, every family eaten in the night, traces back to one man the Corps could not locate for nearly 1,000 years. Before the Kamados, the Corps had already badly failed one of their own future heroes in a way that almost cost him his life. The time they put their strongest future Hashira in prison. Before Gyome Himejima was the Stone Hashira, the strongest active demon slayer in the main story, he was a young blind monk living in a broken-down temple with 9 orphan children. He raised them himself. He barely ate so they could eat. He kept a protective wisteria incense burning every night because the area around the temple was crawling with demons. One night, one of the older children, a boy who would later become the demon Kaigaku, broke the rules, went outside, and met a demon. To save his own life, he put out the wisteria incense and led the demons straight into the temple. 4 children were killed almost right away. When Gyome tried to save the rest, 3 of them panicked, ran out into the woods, and got killed by other demons. Only one little girl named Sayo stayed close to him and lived. Gyome, blind and unarmed, punched that demon with his bare hands until sunrise, when the rising sun finally destroyed it. He saved Sayo. He stopped the demon. He should have been helped. Instead, the villagers who showed up afterward saw the dead children and assumed Gyome had killed them. Sayo, still in shock and only 4 years old, said something confused that sounded like she was blaming him. The demon's body had already disintegrated in the sun, so there was no proof. Gyome was dragged off to prison and sentenced to be executed within a week. Only one man, Kagaya Ubuyashiki, the leader of the Corps, personally stepped in at the last minute and saved Gyome. If Kagaya had been a few days slower, the stone Hashira the modern Corps depends on would have been dead before he ever touched a sword. And the story of the Corps failing its own people does not stop there. The Hashira who gave up and abandoned his own son. Shinjuro Rengoku was the Flame Hashira. That is the same rank his son Kyojuro Rengoku would later hold. The same Kyojuro that most fans know from the Mugen Train arc. Once upon a time, Shinjuro was one of the top 9 fighters in the entire Corps. He had a family. He had a wife who was the gentle heart of his home. And then his wife got sick and died, and Shinjuro completely fell apart. Around the same time, he found out about the existence of sun breathing and the idea that his flame breathing was just a knockoff of something stronger. That broke whatever was left in him. So he quit. He stopped being a Hashira. He stopped doing his job. He started drinking all day and refused to train his sons in any serious way. When Kyojuro, as a young boy, came to him asking to be taught, Shinjuro pushed him away and told him flame breathing was not worth it. Kyojuro still grew up into one of the kindest and bravest people in the entire series. He became a Hashira on his own. He died protecting Tanjiro and his friends on the Mugen Train from the demon Akaza, and his last words were asking his father to take care of himself. A member of the Corps with the skill and duty to protect people walked away from everything and let his own family suffer for years. Kyojuro had to figure out how to be a Hashira with no real help, and then he had to die at 20 years old. And his father was not there for any of it until the very end. One father checking out is sad. A whole mentor giving up because of a single student is something else. The mentor who killed himself because his own student became a monster. Jigoro Kuwajima was the former Thunder Hashira. By the time the main story takes place, he is an old retired teacher who lives in the mountains. He had 2 main students. One was Zenitsu Agatsuma, the loud, scared boy most fans know. The other was a young man named Kaigaku. Jigoro poured everything he had into both of them. He took Zenitsu in when nobody else wanted him. He kept training him even after Zenitsu failed at almost every form of thunder breathing except the first one. He never gave up on him. Kaigaku was the talented one. He learned 5 of the 6 forms of thunder breathing, while Zenitsu only learned 1. But Taigaku was also mean, cold, and full of himself. When he ran into the strongest demon, Kokushibo, in battle and knew he was going to lose, he chose to become a demon himself rather than die as a human. He joined Muzan. He became the new Upper Moon 6. When Jigoro heard that his own student had become a demon and betrayed everything he had taught him, he could not bear it. He killed himself through a ritual suicide called seppuku. He did it alone, without a second person there to end the pain quickly, which is the hardest and most painful way to do it. The Corps did not check on him. A retired Hashira, one of their oldest mentors, died in a broken hut in the mountains because the pressure of the group he served was too heavy to carry alone. What Taigaku did to his mentor is bad enough, but the thing he did as a child is actually worse. Before we move on, if you're enjoying this analysis, please consider subscribing. It helps the channel tremendously. The child they let turn into the monster who killed the others. This one loops back to Guillaume's story. The boy who betrayed Guillaume's orphanage, the one who put out the wisteria incense and let the demon in, was the same person who would later grow up to become Kaigaku. He was one of Guillaume's 9 orphans. After he stole money from the temple's donation box and got kicked out by the other children, he ran into a demon and made a deal with it to save his own life. That deal killed 7 of the 8 other children in that temple. Then he grew up, joined the Demon Slayer Corps, became Jigoro's student, and later betrayed the Corps too by becoming a demon himself. A child with serious problems was around the Corps his whole life. He grew up near Guillaume. He was later trained by Jigoro. He was surrounded by the organization that was supposed to be shaping people into protectors of humanity. And not a single person in that organization noticed what he really was, or stopped him, or helped him before he made the worst possible choices twice in one lifetime. He killed children as a boy, and then he killed his own master's soul as an adult, and the Corps had him in its orbit the entire time. 2 separate tragedies, Guillaume's orphans and Jigoro's suicide, trace back to one person the Corps failed to see clearly. And the biggest failure of all is how the final battle actually ended. The final battle the Corps did not really win alone. When the Demon Slayer Corps finally faces Muzan in the last arc, they pay for it with almost everything they have. The leader Kagaya Ubuyashiki dies by blowing up his own mansion to trap Muzan. Shinobu dies, turning her body into poison so that Doma can be beaten. Muichiro dies cut in half by Kokushibo. Guillaume, Mitsuri, Obanai, and Genya all die from their wounds. Tanjiro is turned into a demon by Muzan in the final moments and nearly becomes the next Demon King himself. The Corps lost most of its strongest fighters in a single night. That is not usually called a failure because they did kill Muzan in the end. But look closely at how it actually happened. Muzan was not killed by a Hashira sword. He was killed because the sun came up and burned him. The Corps' job was to hold him still in the open long enough for the sunrise to finish him. And even that was only possible because a demon named Tamayo had spent years secretly making a poison that slowed Muzan's healing down. Tamayo is a demon. She was the same demon Yorichi let walk free 500 years earlier, the one the Corps banished him partly for sparing. Without her poison, Muzan would have healed from every wound the Hashira landed on him and walked away again. The Corps did not defeat the Demon King by itself. It needed the sun. It needed a demon it had once condemned, and it needed almost every Hashira to die in a single night. That is the weight of their whole history catching up to them in one battle. All the failures stack on top of each other, banishing Yorichi, letting sun breathing be almost wiped out, never finding Muzan in public, missing what was going on with children like Kaigaku, losing mentors to shame and grief. By the time the final fight came, the Corps had spent centuries burning through chances to end the war sooner and cheaper, and the bill came due on the same night. None of these 7 moments are the fault of any one person. The Corps is full of good people doing the best they can in a world where losing is usually permanent. Kagaya Ubuyashiki really did save Guillaume's life. Jigoro really did love his students. Kyojiro really did die a hero. These things are all true at the same time. But the story also quietly keeps track of every time the group was not enough. Every time they threw away someone who could have helped. Every time the cost of being the only thing standing between humans and demons was paid by people who had already given everything. By the end, the Corps disbands. The reason it took so long to get there is in these 7 moments and dozens more like them. The Demon Slayer Corps saved humanity. It also, in its own long and painful way, kept failing humanity the whole time it was doing it. Both of those things can sit in the same story. In Demon Slayer, they always did. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.